All right, here we are at yet another episode, the 425th episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Today, Peter, I don't know why I've never done this before, but I think, and I could be wrong, our listeners will definitely respond and let me know, but I think I have a topic that we've never covered, and I don't know why.
And it's not our shirts.
I didn't get the joke, but okay.
Oh, it's not a joke. It's just, never mind. What is it?
So here is the title.
Yeah.
How to buy property you've never seen. How to buy property you've never seen.
Oh, yeah.
Here is the description. Let your telephone do the driving. Today's hidden secret on becoming a multi-millionaire in short order. Imagine snapping up properties from your computer no matter where you are. Today, we are diving deep into the world of virtual deal making, where your phone becomes almost becomes your most powerful tool. I got to get my tongue to work there. Sorry. With today's ideas of how to scout, evaluate, and close deals for chunks of dough on properties you have only seen through your screen. But wait, you must be thinking, how can I trust what I can't touch? After all, you want to know if every deal is rock solid. Well, don't worry, we have you covered today. These foolproof methods are the way you feel like you are in the room of the house talking to the seller using simple negotiating skills or tools that gives you ironclad due diligence techniques that work from anywhere. So don't let distance hold you back from your next big check. Learn to expand across state lines. Tune in and discover how to let your telephone do the driving straight to your next creative real estate profit. It could actually change your financial freedom.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Here we are.
So let's do the housekeeping type thing.
Yeah.
So I have announced recently that pretty soon, and I'm not ready to announce what episode, but pretty soon this episode will end. I'm not sure if you are, I'm sorry, I'm getting texted and it's my sister and I got distracted because I thought something was wrong with my mother, but I think everything's okay. So if you have been listening to us for 425 episodes, soon this will end. I will give you plenty of notice, and we are going to move over to a private podcast. Some will be free. Some will have some small charges. I'm in the midst of putting together, I think, a weekly newsletter on creative real estate via podcast. It's going to be called an audio letter. So I don't know when all that's going to be released, but I'm just giving you a forewarning. Plenty of time in advance that soon this podcast will come to an end, and you will have to go over to our new platform and hear them then. And then the paid ones, which won't be very expensive, you think we've gone deep with the free podcast. Wait till you hear the paid ones when I dig in even harder and give you even more details. Okay, so in the meantime, we are here. We are live streaming 9:30 a.m. on Thursday morning when we record the podcast, and we are live streaming to two places on YouTube. We're on Flipping Houses for Rookies and Creative REI Reply. We're also on LinkedIn and Facebook. So if you go to any one of those platforms and type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, you will find us. And if you have a question during the episode, you can ask that question in wherever you can type in those platforms, and it will come to me directly. If your question pertains to the podcast, then I will answer it. If not, you need to go over to flippinghousesforrookies.com/support, or just go to support on the top right-hand side of the page and send us a ticket. Okay. So in the meantime, make sure you subscribe to us, make sure you like us, make sure you leave us a good review, all that kind of good stuff wherever you're watching or listening. So here we go. Start a podcast.
Okie doke. Here we go.
Okay, Pete, we have a lot to cover today, and anyone listening would be absolutely, totally, positively foolish to not listen all the way to the end and take notes. Matter of fact, if you're listening and you don't have the full time to listen now, you should pause it and come back, and you should probably listen a couple of times, because I kid you not, this is going to change your financial future. Okay? And I only say this because I know that you have struggled with doing deals in your backyard, and now we're across state lines and it has changed, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has.
So today's brainstorming could pop that one idea that I spoke about in episode 424. All you need is one idea and make you an overnight millionaire. And today might be that podcast. So I wanted to let our listeners know I'm going to tackle the whole topic of doing virtual deals the way I hear most of my questions from my coaching clients in private coaching groups. So, of course, it's off of memory because I don't really log all that stuff, and I didn't go back and watch a bunch of videos. But I answer the questions over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's not one question I get from one person that's a bit odd. Every new client, especially, or every client that decides that they're not doing enough deals will venture down this path. So that's how I'm going to tackle this. Okay? So first is diving right in. First is most want to do deals in their backyard. Right? This is a slang term meaning that you can easily drive to a property and see it and touch it. That's usually what it means. It's within a circumference that you feel comfortable. Now, somebody's backyard might be 2 hours away because they don't mind driving for 4 hours to go look at a property.
Yeah.
Some of us, like
as Bill raises his hand,
like me, tend not to like more than 30 minutes away. I tell you, I have a property that is 45 minutes from my house, 40 to 45 minutes from my house.
That's 10, 15 minutes too many.
And I'm in Wallingford. It's in Colchester, Connecticut. And while I was in Florida on my 8-month sabbatical, it caught on fire. So I came home, and I kid you not, I came home in May, okay? And it didn't get finished. So it happened much earlier than that. It took 9 or 10 months to renovate this house, $120,000 worth of work.
Yeah.
I tell you this because it annoys me to drive up there and back just to see if the guys are working. So it's 2 hours out of my day that, I do phone work. I get on the phone. I bring work with me. And I obviously enjoy a nice cigar, but you can't do that a couple times a week before it starts to aggravate you. So that's me. Others will not feel that way. Others probably would love to do that.
Well, that's if they don't have much going on. You have so many businesses and things going on. It's different. But I think I figured out a good Christmas present for you.
Oh, beautiful.
Cameras.
Yeah. I actually thought about that. All right. Yeah. So that's what a backyard is. Driving to the deal, seeing it, touching it, feeling it, right? Yeah. So here's the interesting analogy, because I've owned other businesses, right? This is much like a business owner only doing business at arm's length, right? He or she has not devised a system to monitor or manage at a distance. They have to come into the office or wherever their business is, and they have to look around and they have to see what's happening.
Right. They have to be in the business, like working in it.
Right.
Instead of being a business owner, he's a business operator really in there.
Right. And I was in the automotive business for a very long time. And the first aha moment for me ever in my life, I was pretty young. I want to say my late 20s, maybe early 30s. And there was this very successful transmission shop in town.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't bore you with all the details, but I soon found out that this shop was owned by an accountant.
Wait a minute. Accountants don't know nothing about no stinking transmissions.
And you are correct, but he knew how to run a business.
Uh-huh.
And he had good guys working for him. You know why?
Yeah.
Because the shop made a lot of money and he could afford to pay him.
Or did the shop make a good amount of money because he hired good people in the first place?
But that's what my point is. He hired good people because the shop made a lot of money and he could afford to pay them.
Yeah.
So he paid top dollar, and he got top technicians.
Yeah.
Right.
Then he'd have. That means then he didn't have to be there all the time babysitting them because they were capable.
Right. And he knew what to manage. He had a what do they call them? I forgot what they call them. KPLs or KPLs or something like that. I don't know. Sean talks about them all the time. It's statistics that are measurable. KPIs, I think it is. All right. Unfortunately, almost 80% of investors live in a shitty market, especially in today's inflation. Or if you are on one of the coasts. So here's what I'm going to describe as a shitty market. Why don't you tell me what a shitty market is?
Okay. Such a crappy market is one that you're in where you talk to people and they don't think they need any help from you at all. And they say no a lot. And when they say yes, it becomes disappear and no. It's just hard to find somebody who values what we do.
Okay. That's what I was afraid you were going to say. Because I was thinking that all the other listeners are going to think the same way.
Well, what would you think it is?
I think you just described the symptom of the disease.
Well, that's what I see.
Right.
You got a little deeper, and
well, I think really what it is, and it's just opinion, so it's not right or wrong. Really, what it is we're taught from when we hatch our egg and come out of the little, we start to bloom, like a chicken being born, right? We come out of our, anyways, forget the analogy. And we're taught from a very young age that profit in real estate is equity, buy low, sell high. So we're in these markets that are bear markets, right?
BEAR.
Yeah, meaning that they're just rough markets. Usually a bear market is a downturn market in the stock market, and it's really rough, right? And I'm going to tell you that just as a side note, this is a personal thing, and I shouldn't be doing this. I wanted to stick to the podcast because I've got 10 pages of notes, and we got a lot to do. But I will tell you that I've had a conversation with a couple friends of mine a couple times because I've been like, damn, I got to tell you, there are some days I just feel like I'm doing everything wrong. I feel like I'm just a fumbling idiot. And it squashes me. It like takes my reach away, and it like pushes on me and kicks at me internally as a spiritual being, as my mind, as my inner feelings. I feel like, my God, right?
Now we understand that. We all have those days.
I finally figured out just recently, it's just money. Money right now is really hard to move.
That's interesting how you put it, to move.
Yeah.
It's not to make. It's not moving.
Money is just stuck. It's really hard to move. It's harder to make sales. It's harder to get things paid for. It's just hard. Money is really stiff right now and hard to move. Yeah. And that's because although money is not a thing, it is energy. But people that control the money are in fear.
Hmm.
And why wouldn't they be? Because we're in the middle of an election, and either we're going to go one way or the other. We're either going to head for the sun, or we're going to head for the heavens, or we're going to head for hell.
Yeah.
And depending on who you talk to is what they think where the heaven is and where the hell is.
Yeah.
Right?
Who's
So,
driving? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think I covered everything I wanted to cover there. So what I'm saying is the East Coast and the West Coast are the hardest places to do business. Because what happens is the markets are bearish and they don't want to discount a property for an investor. Right? I mean, I just talked to a person that is sad enough, very sad, very, very sad story, did a slot deal with someone. And not because he did anything wrong, but because of something that happened, 6 months later, the deal kind of went south because the seller got spooked 6 months after the deal.
Really?
Never heard of that in 30 years. Now we're kind of putting it back together, but the point is that it didn't go right. 6 months later, right? Now there's nothing he did, and he's totally fine and all that kind of stuff, but it's just things are odd right now. Okay, so let's move on. So what I suggest you do is look for deals in the Midwest. Okay. So here's what I suggest while looking for a farm markets, because the next question is looking for a farm market.
Yeah.
Right. So here's how you start. Put your ideal or idea of a zip code in Zillow and look at sold property. And on the map, they will clump together. The pins will clump together. Right? And they'll show the clumped property where the most activity is in an area. Right?
Yeah.
So go in there and look at some of what they sold for. Now, don't do this for 6 months. This is literally a half an hour cycle, okay? You thinker brains will do this to the nth degree, and you'll come back and give me a complete analysis of 15 pages of what you think. I don't need that. So go in there and look at some of the properties that were sold. Pick a few. Grab their addresses, like 2 or 3 of them, and paste them into Google, the addresses. And when you do this, other sites will come up like Trulia and Realtor.com and Redfin and Movada and all these other sites that come up. And just take a look at what they comp it for. Okay? At that point, you'll know whether it was sold over or under market value. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just don't make a decision based on one house. If you do this for 3 or 4 houses and they're selling for market value or above, then you might have kind of a stiff economy, which is not bad, by the way. We could definitely deal with that. I'm going to show you how to do that today. Right? You're only looking for volume. You're looking for volume. Right? And if they're not being sold over value, then you're looking for a bunch of properties that are normal, right? Like I said, the Midwest is the best for creative real estate deals only because it's common knowledge to most sellers in that area to do terms or monthly payments.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's how they've done real estate for a very long time there. It's not like the two coasts.
I didn't know that. So they're more open to that. They've been doing that. I never heard that.
Well, how are you doing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
Well, yeah, they are more open to discussing it. It's not like now, but I didn't know it was a thing. I thought, it's just a few weeks I'm at that area.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
So realize that your financial life is all based on the product you can deliver and how valuable it is to the person giving you money.
Yeah.
Right. So just remember that. So the way to make a lot of money is to have a lot of valuable products that are completed that people want.
Yeah.
That's how you make a lot of money. And if you're not making a lot of money, then either there's no product, the product's not complete, or somebody doesn't think it's valuable, or enough people don't think it's valuable. It's only one of those three things.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Once you have a potential farm market, you want to test it. See if it will be you want to see if it will be a good field to plant your seeds in. Okay. So just to be clear here, be very clear here, so you understand what I'm talking about. Farm market means focus area research. Focus area research market.
Marketing?
Yeah. I don't know why I wrote that differently, but
You mean it actually stands for that? It's an acronym?
it's an acronym, yeah.
I thought all this time was just like, the farm.
It's an analogy.
I've never heard the words that go with it. That's funny.
And so does everybody else that's listening to us. That's why I'm telling you.
Area research marketing. Okay.
Right. So it's a way to segment a specific area in which to grow your business, your reputation, and your connections in that specific farm. So I'm going to read that again because it's important. It is a way to segment a specific area in which to grow your business, your reputation, and your connections in that specific farm. Right. So would you want to put an orange grove in Alaska?
No, thank you.
Right. Would you want to grow seals in Florida?
I don't think so.
I mean, they do it, but it's under extreme conditions, right?
Yeah.
This is vital for our listeners. And here's why. Most feel like they need to own property in these farms. Again, since we were brought into the investing world or the real estate world or creative real estate, we've been taught, number one, you need to buy low, sell high, so you make money on equity. Number two, you need to own the properties to make money. Right? That's not true. Those are both myths.
Well, that's not the creative way. That's not creative. That's...
Well, forget about creative. An institutional bank is not creative, are they?
No.
They don't own any real estate.
That's true. Except the one they're in, maybe. But they might not even. They might not. No.
They lend the money, right? So they can get high fees, because if you take a loan on a piece of property and you go 30 years, you're paying 2.5 times the amount that you paid for it.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is they control the property with their paperwork.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you don't pay, they take it back. How is that any different than me writing a lease with an option with a buyer and they don't pay? What do?
Take the property back.
Right. So people think it's the money that owns the real estate. No, because I could buy property that banks put the money in and I could still do the same thing. I didn't have to put money in. I just needed the paperwork that controlled the property.
That's right.
Not the money. Not the money. And this is a myth. So what happens is our investors that are listening right now, or entrepreneurs, I like to call them, not so much investors, right?
Yeah.
Are worried that if they're going to buy a property 1,500 miles away that they saw on their screen and they can't touch it or feel it, they're going to lose. Well, that's correct. If you put your own money in and you take a deed, that's is right. Correct. It could happen.
That's right.
But what happens if you don't put your own money in? What happens if you put no money in?
Well, then you got nothing to lose.
Right?
Only opportunity to win.
Right?
Wait a minute. We've said this before, but that's what realtors do.
Right. See, the problem is when you put deeds in your name, if something goes wrong, the problem crawls up the proverbial ladder and it stops with you because you are controlling the money.
That's right.
Right? Here's the newsflash. And what 97% of all real estate investors don't know. Don't own these properties. Just control them long enough to get a chunk of dough. So how long do you control the property for, Peter?
3 years, 4 years, 5 years.
That's not what I just said. It's not what I just said.
You said how long do you control the properties?
Right.
Until somebody cashes it out?
Okay. No, that's not what I just said. So I'll say it again.
What?
Don't own these properties. Don't own these properties. Just control them long enough to get a chunk of dough.
Yeah.
So you do a slot deal. How long do you control the property?
Oh, that could be 30 days.
Could be 5 days.
Yeah. So the answer is until you cash out.
No.
No? Well, what is the answer?
And you only control it long enough to get your chunks of dough.
That's what I mean. When you cash out.
No.
What do you mean no?
Cash out is not what I'm saying. Cash out is something completely different. If I were to get $600 a month positive cash flow from a monthly rent, is that a chunk of dough? Yeah. If I were to keep a property for 3 years and then make $85,000 in the back end, is that a chunk of dough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how long am I going to keep that property? As long as it's giving me chunks of dough.
Until the chunks of dough stop chunking.
There you go. So cashing out has nothing to do with it because cashing out usually means that you're going to pay off the sellers. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking that's when your control of the property might end because the deal stops. Like when the deal stops. Whatever that is.
Okay.
So when the deal stops.
Okay. So I know I'm splitting hairs here and I'm being kind of a jerk about this, but you only control a property as long as it's giving you chunks of dough.
Yeah.
When it stops giving you chunks of dough, you get out.
Yep.
That's a rule. That's a law.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the way to become rich is to have more inflow than outflow with money.
Mm-hmm.
Your income has to be higher than your outgo. That's a common thing. I didn't make that up. That's an accounting thing.
Oh, that's pretty simple.
Right? So that's what we're talking about here. As long as you can control this property long enough to give you chunks of dough so your income is higher than your outgo, you're good. By the way, I just described deal structuring.
Yeah, pretty much. Because you're saying that like, well, we could buy just on an option and sell it in a month or two and just take your money and leave. We can sell on a slot deal and get someone else to control the property and just take our deposit and leave. Or we can hang out the property for 3 years or 5 years and then. So yeah, it does. But you know what else you said a little while ago that's very pertinent here? You said something like when you have like a lease or that type of option, control the property, you control the paperwork. You don't control the money. So no one comes after you to get money if there's a problem. That's very interesting the way you put that. We're not the guy controlling the money. You're like, oh, you need money? Oh, he's the owner, that guy over there. But we're controlling like the arrangements, who may be living there, who's coming and going. just
This is no different than being in the stock market and controlling stocks with options,
yes, right.
right?
Yeah.
You want to buy a Apple stock and it's $400 today.
Hmm.
You give them $10 for the right to purchase, but not the obligation.
Mm-hmm.
So if the stock goes up to $500 tomorrow, can you sell it?
Well, they would let you buy it for 400 and then sell it for 500. That's how that works.
So I just said, if you buy a stock today, if the stock today is trading for 400 and you get an option for $10,
Yeah.
which means you have the right to purchase, but not the obligation, and tomorrow it goes up to $500, can you sell it?
Oh, you'd have. Well, I'm not sure how the apps work. You'd have to pay 500 for it, or did it lock in at 400? I don't know how they work. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, if the stock is $400 today,
Yeah.
and you get an option agreement on it, and you pay $10, and the stock's worth $400,
Yeah.
and tomorrow it's worth $500,
Mm-hmm.
could you sell that stock?
Well, not if it's worth 500, because you have to come up with $100 for each share.
Okay, so yes, you can, because if it's worth 400 today, that means you made $100 tomorrow with your option
No,
agreement.
that's what I'm asking. So you can buy it at the 400 because your option locked it in at that price. That's the
Right.
point. Okay, that's what I wasn't sure.
This happens every single time, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands times a day in the stock market.
Yeah.
You put up an option consideration deposit that you lose if you don't forfeit. Now, if the stock goes down tomorrow to 300 and you have a $400 option, are you obligated to buy it? No.
That's right. You don't have to, because if you did, you'd have to come up with you'd lose.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what I want to implant, stop, shove into your mind right now, and never, ever, ever, ever forget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm telling you that you don't need to own a property. Just control it long enough to make your chunks of dough. Except when you're doing farm market research.
Yeah.
The chunks of dough could be littler because you're getting something bigger out of the deal. Like suppose you want to make $10,000 a deal,
Yeah.
but you're going into a new farm market and you take on a property and you make a mistake and you're only going to make $2,000.
Yeah.
You would do that because the bigger nugget there, the bigger gold nugget for you is the farm market research that you're going to get from selling this house.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're moving into a new farm market and you're trying to figure out, is this a good place to do business? It's more important to, which I'm going to go over in a minute, it's more important to get the research done than to worry about the profit or the chunks of dough.
That makes sense. You're in a new area. You don't really know it, so you got to find out how will it work out.
Right.
But you're safe because it's just dealing with an option.
The only money you're putting up is, I mean, we use $100, but you could use $10 for a property.
Yeah. And you can't, if you lose $10, $100, not the end of the world. We do that every day, buying tickets to see Ringo Starr at the Mohegan Sun tomorrow night,
Right. Peter with his jokes.
No,
All right.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. That's what we have to talk about after the podcast if you want to go with me.
Okay.
Okay. But the point is, $10 is not a big deal, or $100 is not a big deal because you're not responsible for the money on the deal. And whatever you make is gravy to do research and make money. Come on, think about that. Doing some research, finding things out, and making money, and making money.
There you go.
And that's the benefit of the way you teach this. It's like
there you go.
You learn.
I'm not asking you today to go spend thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars for coaching. I'm asking you to get off your butt and do what I'm talking about today on a few houses and learn while you're earning instead of paying a consultant. Now, later on, you'll get other deals and you'll need to have that coach. But we'll talk about that some other day, right?
Yeah.
All right. So to make a little bit of a pun joke about this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In legal terms, all across the lands, for tax purposes, if you have a minimum acreage per zoning laws, local zoning laws, And legally, if you have one chicken, you qualify as a farm.
Okay.
I'm serious. I did research on this. So all across the lands, I'm talking the United States.
Every state, every county has that. A certain amount of land, and there's an animal on it. One.
It doesn't say you need to have a lot of animals. A farm
No. One.
is the required amount of acreage
Yeah.
per the local zoning laws, and one chicken or one animal.
Yeah. Okay.
So you don't need to have a lot of animals to own and be legally considered a farm.
Okay.
Now, let me reel this back into our farm and creative real estate deals. Let's compare our offers to farm animals.
Okay.
And that's a weird way to talk about it, right?
Yeah, because that's FARM, farm, no acronym.
Yeah.
All right.
I told you, it's a pun. We don't need more than a chicken or two to be in business in any given geographical area. Here is what I would do in a new farm area. Scouting for deals. So what I'm saying is we don't need to have more than one or two chickens. In other words, we'd only need one or two types of deal structures to say we're in a farm area testing it.
Right.
We don't need to do all 7 of our deal structures in that farm area because we're in testing mode. We're not in investing mode. We're in testing mode. And this is where everybody I know makes the mistake. I don't want to go all the way to the 1,400 miles away. What happens if the deal goes bad? Well, you're not supposed to be buying deals there yet. You haven't tested the market. And this is the reason why virtual deals are not talked about enough. And this is the reason why most people are afraid of virtual deals. And I would pay somebody, I don't know, I'm not going to say because somebody will call me on it, but I would bet that there is not anybody on the internet that is telling you what I'm telling you right now. Farm market. What does it mean?
Focus area research marketing.
It's a testing ground. Farm market is a testing ground. You're not supposed to be buying deals in a farm market. You're testing the area. You're not investing. Testing, not investing. Okay? I will repeat that 1,000 times if you let me until it sinks in.
Well, in the testing, are you trying to do a little, like you said a couple minutes ago, you're trying to do maybe a slot deal?
We're going to talk about it right now. Now.
Yeah.
So we're in testing mode. So I'm talking about testing mode right now. I want you to understand that I'm not talking about investing. I've given you 424 podcasts on how to invest. Today, I'm talking about testing a new area that you can do investing in.
Okay.
So number 1, you want to scout for deals. Now, obviously, I use my own creative REI reply system in a box. It's a creative real estate system in a box. If you've been listening to me for more than 3 episodes, you know, because I talk about it all the time, not because I'm trying to sell it to you, although I feel like if you want to be a creative real estate investor and you don't want to work very hard, I think you're foolish for not taking it because it's ridiculous on how inexpensive it is compared to what it does. Unless you're not doing deals, then it's expensive. Right? But if you do one deal, it will pay for itself 5 times over again. Okay? But I'm not going to talk about that today because I've been shoving that down your throat for many podcasts. So if you so dare to not want to use our system and do create a real estate system in a box that does 90% of everything on autopilot, if you don't want to do that because you have some twisted idea about money, and I'm mocking you right now because you can't see the difference between investing and spending money. Kiyosaki talked about it the most in Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If you have assets and liabilities, if you invest in assets, it gives you money back.
Mm-hmm.
If you put money into liabilities, the money goes away and never comes back again. And people will tell me they can't afford Creative REI Replay because they're too used to having liabilities where money goes away, doesn't come back.
Right.
Buy a car, make a $400 a month payment, you get the use of the car, and that's it. Nothing comes back. Creative REI Replay is an asset. You put money into it, and if you work just a little bit, you get money back. Enough said. I'm going to get off the topic because I'm not here to sell to you today. I just got a little bit of a on that. Did you notice?
Well, it's a general concept too. Anything. I used to take out $5 ads in newspaper for my business to get clients. My friend said, "Gee, we're getting clients." So I put an ad in the paper. Well, how much does that cost? $5. He goes, "I'm not spending $5."
Right.
I mean, that's kind of stupid. $5 to get clients to make money. Anyways, it's just mentality.
All right. So if you don't want to supposedly invest in your business or yourself, there's my camera. It's kind of funny. If you don't want to invest in your business or yourself, then I'm going to show you how to do it manual right now.
Okay.
Right. And how you could do this farm market, which is focus area research marketing. Okay. You can scout on Facebook Marketplace. Just go to Facebook Marketplace, go under for rent, and don't look at the houses. Don't try to evaluate the property. See, that's what too many investors do. They spend too much time trying to figure out if they like this property or not. Why?
Here, very simple. We're not living in the property. We don't care.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Even if you are living in the property, what we need to do is we need to find sellers that are willing to listen to our offers and are willing to work with us. Then we worry about the house. If you worry about the house and you have a seller that wants $30,000 over market value, you've wasted your 15 minutes looking at that house for no reason at all.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to take the temperature of the seller to find out where they're at first, then worry about the house.
No, that's true.
So if you're on Facebook for rent, don't even look at the house, just start messaging people. And I'm going to tell you, because I've had many coaching clients make a lot of money doing this, what you're going to text them or message them is, would you be willing to rent for a year or two, then sell to me? I'll repeat it. Would you be willing to rent for a year or two, then sell to me? Once you type it once, copy it, and then paste it in 25 houses every day. And I make a joke about this because I tell you, everybody that I know has to crap. They sit on a toilet. This is a perfect time for you to do this. There is no excuse. Kids, jobs, I don't care where you are, you can do this every day. It takes a few minutes. And if you did this for a week or 10 days, you are going to get responses. You can also go on Zillow in the rental section, do the same thing, or go on Craigslist and do the same thing. Here's an idea. How about you pose yourself as a renter? You're looking to rent a property, and you sign up as a tenant on apartments.com.
Oh.
Or Avail, Avail, avail.co. Pose as a renter, and then start texting these landlords and saying, would you be willing to rent for a year or two and then sell to me? You will find people. Lastly, we use the, this is before Creative REI Replay.
Mm-hmm.
This is before Creative REI Replay. We used to pull leads from myplusleads.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we would download them because it costs you money to do it. I think it's up to like $60 or $80 a month now, but they will give you leads every day. And then we used a software that was called Text Magic. Text Magic, you don't pay for the software, you only pay for the text, which is, I think, 0.5 cent per text.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the leads from MyPlusLeads, you download them and then upload them into Text Magic, and you do a text broadcast. We'll say 50 people a day. And then when the sellers answer you,
Mm-hmm.
you then, it's a one-way conversation. It's not a broad message. So I just noticed we have a question here. So clever girl leading. Once I'm going to get to what we do with the properties once we get them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Text Magic is a good piece of software if you don't want to pay for Creative Aria Replay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's how you scout for deals. Okay. Now and remember, we checked on the first thing we did is we went on to Zillow and we got a basic idea of a market. We went into MyPlusLeads, or we went into one of these places like Facebook, and we went into that area and we started scouting for leads. We're hunting for leads or deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now comes the dirty little secrets that pros don't want you to know. In this little system I'm talking about, stop worrying about deal structuring and negotiating. Don't negotiate. Right? Here's why. You're only using this property for research and going to pocket a chunk of dough while doing our most important work.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out things without paying for our rookie mistakes. You can't make mistakes doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. Right? So our chickens on the farm are going to be the slot deal, which is a sandwich lease option transfer, which I'm not going to cover today. It's a sandwich lease option transfer. That means you're going to get a lease option from your seller, and you're going to find a buyer and assign it to them.
Yep.
If you want to hear how this is done, go to episode number 254. We explain it in great detail. It's 200 episodes ago.
254. Wow.
Yeah. If you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/podcast, you'll find it there, or just go on YouTube on Flipping Houses for Rookies. Or if you're on whatever podcast platform you listen to, go find episode number 254. We completely explain how to do a sandwich lease option transfer, which is a slot deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
It's fully summarized there. The second type of a deal we're going to do is an option agreement. Right? And that's so you could give the seller all cash. Right? So what is your little sentence, Peter, that you say when you ask, what do you want? Your price?
Well, yeah, I got two. One is you're trying to find out from the person if it's more important to get their asking price or to make more profit, which is similar to saying, do you have to sell right now, or could you wait and make more money?
Right. So if they say they want to sell right away, you would talk about an option agreement.
Mm-hmm.
If they say they want to make more profit, you would talk about a slot deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it, right? Very simple. So if you want to learn how to sell with options, we did a whole episode on episode number 423.
Okay.
Which is 2 episodes ago.
Yep.
It's called For Rookies Not Doing Creative Real Estate Deals in Today's Economy.
Mm.
Okay, we completely explain it there.
Yep.
See, most want to be big check collectors. And they're never getting a check because they're at the wrong side of the deal. It's taken me 30 years to figure this out, and I kid you not. And you know this, Peter, and people listening know this, because I've never talked about this till recently.
Mm-hmm.
I have been teaching my coaching clients the wrong end of the deal. And that's talking to sellers and getting properties from sellers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the wrong end of the deal. Here's why. Think about it. Who always funds the deal?
Well, the money comes from the buyers. Yeah.
Right? The buyers bring the money and pay the sellers. They pay the seller liens, they pay professional fees, and they pay you or a realtor, whoever's constructing the deal. Which, by the way, like we said before, the realtor didn't pay anything to get this deal. The realtor didn't do any negotiating. The realtor didn't need to know creative real estate transactions. The realtor didn't even know how to do the paperwork. The problem now becomes an inventory problem for us investors, which simply means that the amount of unsold properties being marketed and seen by buyers. If you don't have a property to show your buyers who have your money, you aren't going to make any money.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, good old Grant.
Yeah, what's he say?
Grant Cardone says it best in his little pocket booklet that's called the Millionaire Pocket Book.
Mm-hmm.
Little Millionaire in your Pocket or something like that.
Yeah, I got it in the other room. Yeah.
Who's got my money?
Who's got my money? Well, it's funny. We always think, well, the seller controls this situation because he's got the property. But the rule is whoever has the gold controls the deal. And the gold is in the hand of the buyer. So they have, oh, I want this much for my property. That's nice. Let's see if anybody wants to give you that money. It's really up to if somebody's willing to hand you over the $5 for the fancy hamburger.
So, that's right. So your chunk of dough is with your buyer, and we never talk about the buyer.
Yeah.
400 and something podcasts, and we seldom talk about how do we sell the properties.
Yeah.
How do we get properties purchased from buyers? Grant Cardone says, make a list of who has your money in his little booklet. But honestly, we don't need that list. We know it's the buyer. If we have inventory or property to attract buyers that have passion and want to buy a house or a bank account full of dough, then we're in. We are technically just like a realtor we do all this without a license, that are matchmaking. We're matchmaking, right?
Yeah.
All right. By now, our listeners are saying to themselves, okay, Bill, how do I get this inventory? Now watch this. One single idea that will make you a millionaire, a multi-millionaire. One single idea, remember?
Yeah.
What if sellers got their full asking price minus a 5% profit for you? Just like a realtor. Realtor charges 5% commission. We don't call commission, we call it profit.
Mm-hmm.
And you did not have to pay them until you find a buyer who has the money. And your 5% profit for doing the matchmaking. So if you found a seller that wants $400,000 for a $400,000 property, and you say to them, I'll sell it to you and I'll charge you 5%. I want a 5% profit for doing this. Right?
Mm-hmm. So you're selling it for the seller.
Yeah.
At 5%.
So if they now we have much more closing costs than this, but every seller thinks that the only closing cost is 5% to the realtor. Right? So if we charged 5%, that means 5% of $400,000. That means we would write an option agreement for $380,000 because 5% of $400,000 is $20,000.
Right.
So if we're going to sell it for cash, wouldn't it make sense that we list that property or put it on websites? And here we go, because Clever Girl, who is she? Clever Girl Reading, right?
Mhm.
So once they have the property, what do? Here's what you do, is you're going to put that property on, well, first of all, I would go to avail.co, A-V like in Victor, AIL.co.
Mhm.
That will put it on 19 or 20 websites for you. Just list it there. You don't list it, you just post it there. Also go to Zillow if you can. You're going to have to take over the Zillow listing if the owner or the realtor has it. You need to take over the listing. You're going to go on the Zillow rental site, not this for sale site. You're going to want to sell this property in a rental environment.
Mm.
And you're going to talk about how, I'm sorry. I just shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I was thinking of the slot deal. No, take that back.
Oh, because this is for the option. We're just talking about the option right now.
So you have a property I'm going to start over. You have a property worth $400,000. You get a $20,000 discount. So now you're promising the seller $380,000. You go put it on these websites all over the place for $385,000. You're going to make $5,000. Don't be greedy, because remember, we're only testing, right? We're only testing. We're doing research.
But Bill, if somebody offers 386, can we take it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thanks.
My point is, well, some people do this and they get bidding wars. But my point is that because everyone else in that area is listing their properties for $400,000, the comps are $400,000, you're going to be $385,000. You're going to get action. Now remember, the $5,000 is not the point here. The point here is to see what the market's like. Do we have a market? Can we sell properties like this in that farm? Can we do deals there? We're not investing, we're testing. So you want to get a few properties like this and get them and make $5,000 or more while you're testing. And maybe you get 2 or 3 properties like this under an option agreement for $10 option consideration deposit, and you find out, oh, I can't sell $400,000 properties in this farm market. Isn't that a whole lot better than trying to buy a property subject to getting the deed and you owning it, and now all of a sudden you're shelling out a bunch of dough every month because you can't get rid of it?
Yeah, oh, hell yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Does.
Okay, let me catch up to my notes. Okay, so what we're doing is we're using an option agreement. And if you go listen to those other websites I told you about, right, which was website, I'm sorry, I said website, I meant podcast.
Podcast episodes?
Yeah, let me go back here. So if you go listen to podcast episode number 254 and 423, we fully explain all this. But an option agreement means that you are getting the rights to buy, not the obligation. So just like I gave you the stock example earlier, you're putting up some money for those rights. What you are doing is you're going to get an option agreement. When you get a cash deal, you're going to have an option agreement. You're going to have the right to sell. Then you're going to write a purchase and sales agreement between you and the buyer. And when you submit the purchase and sales agreement, you're going to attach the option, so the person that's going to do the legal work knows that you have an option, and they know there's no skullduggery or no funny business. Okay. If you're doing a sandwich lease option transaction, it doesn't matter, because you're going to take the option agreement that you have with your seller and you're going to assign it to your buyer, so they're going to see the original agreement for your profit. Which, by the way, when you're doing a slot deal, you're not getting a discount at all. If the property is worth $400,000, you're going to give them $400,000, and you're going to add 5% to the deal, and that's what the buyer's going to pay. Remember, we're doing testing, not investing. So these numbers don't have to be very big. You're just testing the market to see what it's like, right? So technically, it's like doing an affiliate commission or doing a partnership deal like we used to talk about with your sellers. So they're giving you their inventory so you could go market it and do your farm, which means what?
Focused area research marketing.
Right. That's what you're doing. You're not looking to do investing yet. You're just looking to do testing.
I like when you say you get the house on consignment.
Right.
That's interesting because that's kind of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like consignment.
Like a consignment store.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop off my
your old suit.
Yeah. Or I have kids that, were 2 and 3 and now they're 8 years old and we still have their toys. So we're going to drop them off at the consignment shop and we're going to sell them for $10 or $20. And the consignment shop's going to take a little piece of it and you're going to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the same thing with houses.
Yep.
All right. Now, how many properties could you afford to show buyers who have your money when you don't have to put up any money out of your pocket or very little money, like $10, to do this?
And the marketing on those sites is free, right?
Yeah.
Available.
Yeah.
Wow.
You could put them on Avail. You could put them on Zillow. You could put them on Craigslist. You could put them on Facebook. There are many places to put them.
Yeah.
Do you think you could find one deal? Maybe 3 deals? Maybe 5 deals in the next 30 days doing it this way? Imagine having 5 properties that you don't own, not paying for their monthly expenses until you sell. And each day you wake up, each and every day you wake up, you have 5 chances today to make a chunk of dough. Now you may ask, what about the condition of the property? I only saw it on my computer screen. Did they lie to me? Well, here's the magic. Let your buyer go look at the house. Have them tell you the condition.
Mm.
You're not buying the property. You're just showing it like a realtor.
Yeah, and because the buyer is controlling the money part, the seller can't complain, right? If people go like, don't like this, don't like that, it needs this, whatever, what's the seller going to say? They're wrong? I'm sorry, that's your buyers.
You know what this is like, Peter? You know what this is like?
What?
This is like surveying each property with your buyers and say, do you like this one? What's wrong with it? Yeah. And then you go back to your seller and say, I surveyed your property with the market, with the buyers, the people that have money in their pocket, and here's what they said.
Well, there's nothing to argue. Even if they're wrong, that's what they say. They're not going to buy it if they don't like it.
Exactly. More importantly, what's it going to do to our investor, our rookie investors? Is that going to give you confidence? Yeah. Now you're going to have statistics to talk to the seller and say, well, look, Mr. Seller, you're freaking nuts because I had 10 people go in that house and they all said this.
Yep.
Now it's not you anymore. It takes the onus off of you. So you don't have to have phone phobia anymore because now you have something to talk about.
Right. So going into the deal is not written in stone. You can start the deal any way you want that's agreeable. It's like that's what he wants, give it to them. And then people come and say blah blah blah. I go, look, we have to change it. What does a realtor do? They ask for 400,000, they come back later, nope, 480, not 380, 370.
Knock it down 10,000, yeah.
They knock because it changes over time. You're not stuck with, especially with a $10 or $50 option agreement, you're not stuck with anything. And you can change it.
Here's the magic. Doing it this way, you'll get all your focus about the area. You'll focus on an area, right? And you'll do your research while you're making 5% profit on your deals. And oh yeah, by the way, if it's an $800,000, how much is $800,000 house? How much is 5%?
$40,000.
Okay. So this works even on the coasts.
By the way, I didn't keep it. I'm sure we can find it on Facebook. It popped up this morning. Here's the median price of all the houses state by state. Idaho, Iowa, Indiana, Connecticut, just Florida. Connecticut, like 400 something, 300 something. Florida,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're going to survey your buyers before you and do some deals and get some money in your pocket so you can afford to buy Creative REI Replay and get it on 90% autopilot because you're going to have money in your pocket now. And you're going to survey that market to find out if you could do regular deals, because once you start plugging in Creative REI Replay or start doing some of these other types of deals, you know the market as if you were sitting in the neighborhood or standing outside the front door of that house, because the buyers told you everything. They told you about the new factory that's going in downtown. They told you about the government. They told you about the police. They tell you about rapes. They tell you about everything you want to know if you ask a few questions.
Good areas, bad areas. Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And by the way, buyers will tell you something by the way they respond or not respond. If you put a house for sale and it's blah, 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 whatever number, and nobody responds, guess what? You got it wrong.
Yeah.
But it didn't cost you anything. It cost you a little bit of your time to do the ad. Now here's the final secret. We most often use our seller to show the house once we have agreements, which is the option agreement, in place. Okay. I know many worry about sellers stealing your deals. Here's what I say. It's a technical term. So what?
Yeah, but Jeff, isn't the paperwork legal? Does that protect us?
It doesn't matter. It's a very minute problem that only comes up with people that aren't doing deals. Because like 2% of the people in the world, or 2.5% of the people in the world, are evil enough to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have many of these deals, if you're doing what I say, and you got 5 or 6 or 7 of these deals in your pipeline, don't fret, because if that one idiot pulls a stunt, then you shut him off. See, here's the secret. The word is propitiation. Propitiation means you give gifts and you pay money to people to be your friend.
And you suck up to them.
You suck up to them, right? Too many of our listeners are sucking up, are in propitiation to the sellers. It needs to reverse, because if you put your seller on a pedestal, the only thing that seller can do is look down on you.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You have to go in this deal thinking you're very fortunate to find me because I know what I'm doing. And I'm going to sell your house. And I'm going to go find the buyer to bring the money to the table so you can get what you want. Because who else is going to do what I'm doing right now and only charge you 5%? Now you say a realtor? Interesting. Does a realtor have a buyer's list, which you will have if you start getting buyers? You should have that. And if you listen to those other podcasts, especially the 424 one, right? Episode 424, I think it was.
224?
No, it's 424.
423, because 424 was last week. 423?
Let me look.
One of the options.
$423, yeah. Okay. The best thing you could do while you're doing your research and getting paid is collect a buyer's list. Once you have a buyer's list, you now have an advantage over a realtor, because realtors don't do that. And you're going to be able to do things realtors have no idea can happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, realtors have one way to sell a house. We can do that plus others. We have more possibilities.
I know this much. There's not many realtors. There's probably one in about 1,000 that will tell you, oh, Mr. Seller, if you don't sell the house this way, we can talk again because I'll buy it from you. Now you're not going to buy it for 5% discount. But you can give them offers at that point if it doesn't sell. Well, hey, we brought it to the market. The market said this. If you want to sell to me, I can do that. It sets them up for your offers if you decide you want to stay in that market because you've done your farming. Remember, this is testing, not investing. Get that in your head. Okay? So, the final secret. We use the seller to show the house. If you're afraid that the seller is going to steal the deal on you, well, that's just because you have a scarcity of deals. You need to get out there and get more deals, right? You need to have 5, 6, 8, 10 of these things going, which is another reason to use Creative REI Replay, because we do all of it on autopilot for you, and all you're doing is checking your deals every day.
Also, the selling part.
Yeah, totally, right? All right, so what if you're still worried? You don't want to buy Creative REI Replay, and you're still worried about your seller stealing your deal. Well, get boots on the ground. Have your boots on the ground do the deal. So how do you find boots on the ground? Well, first of all, you should look for people like soccer moms, right? College students, a retired person, right? To work for you as boots on the ground. So how do you find those people? Well, you could go on Craigslist. That's where most of my clients do it.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm going to tell you the best place in the world to do that is to go whatever city your farm market's in on Facebook. And every city has a buy and sell page on Facebook. Enter in that buy and sell page and look for those people there. They're flea market people. They bounce around. Oh, yeah, by the way, in that buy and sell Facebook page, you should offer to pay commissions for these flea market people that are bouncing around and asking people when they go to a flea market, or not, I'm saying flea market, I don't mean flea market, tag sale. When they go to a tag sale, they can ask the person, are you selling the house? And you could pay them a commission.
Especially in the estate sale.
Right. So go into these websites, these Facebook websites, poke around, type in, whatever city, Wallingford, Connecticut, that's where I'm at, right? And look for buy and sell sites on Facebook. Join those groups. And then post an ad in there. Hey, I'm looking for a soccer mom to work a few hours a week on real estate deals. Hey, I'm looking for a college kid that works a few hours a week or wants to work a few hours a week, right?
Yeah.
Put them. So here's what you do: is you hire 3 or 4 of them. You don't hire just one. You hire 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
You hire quick. You hire quick. You fire quick.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Some will work out, obviously.
Now you pay them once they give you compliance. So in the beginning, you put them on a 60-day probation period or 30-day probation period, and you test them, right? This is what I always say. So how do you build trust? When their words match their actions, you have trust. But when their words don't match their actions, you have no trust. So you're going to test their trust by giving them tasks to do, and when they complete them, they give you compliance, pictures or whatever you ask for compliance, like go put a lockbox on the house. And then they take a picture of the lockbox, they take a picture of the front of the house, and they take a picture of the left and the right of the neighborhood, so they were there. They didn't just get it off of some Zillow ad or something like that, right? So once they have the compliance, you send them the $10 or whatever you're going to pay them, right? And you get somebody. Now, if that's not enough for you, here's another way. Go to Thumbtack. Thumbtack is good too, right? Look for handyman. Look for house cleaners, people that clean houses. Look for landscaper. In the right areas, like down south, look for swimming pool people They clean swimming pools.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the type of jobs that they have gaps in between their jobs.
And they're in houses.
And yeah, and they're part of houses. And the best part is, I lost my train of thought. Hang on a second. The best part is that they're used to getting paid by the job. Not usually by the hour.
Yeah.
So the swimming pool guy gets paid when the pool is clean, right? The house cleaner gets paid. Am I back?
Yes. Am I?
Okay, I lost you for a minute.
Okay.
My computer's on. Okay, so the point is, this boots on the ground is not really necessary until you start acquiring properties and deeds. Remember, what are we doing? What does farm mean?
Focus area research marketing.
So we're testing, not investing.
Hmm.
What I just told you is not being taught anywhere else. Because what are we testing right now? What have I just told you today? A, we're testing sellers. B, we're testing property valuations.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're testing buyers and how receptive they are and how many of them are there.
Right.
Then we're testing, which is the market. We're testing the neighborhoods and all the things in that city that are going on, all the politics and all that kind of stuff. Now I'm telling you to test boots on the ground and how you can find somebody to go do all of that, so that when you get done doing all your testing by doing 1 or 2 deals or 3 deals or 5 deals and you feel confident, now you're set up to start doing subject to deals, owner finance deals, because not only have you tested the sellers, not only have you tested the politics and the marketing in that city, not only have you tested all the things I just told you about, you now have a crew of people to start doing deals for you. And oh yeah, by the way, you built a buyer's list, a huge buyer's list, because you've done 3 or 4 deals and picked up 75 to 100 buyers or 150 buyers per deal. Now you're ready to go into that area virtually and do deals. Make sense?
Totally.
Good. Which means now you can start making money now. Your chunks of dough will be money now, money monthly, and money later. Because you're holding properties and not doing what we call a FRED deal, which is flipping real estate documents. You are doing flipping real estate documents. You're doing FRED deals.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The other way is FREP, F-R-E-P. You're flipping real estate property. Flipping means quickly. You're turning them quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one way is to do flip real estate properties, which we just talked about today for an hour and 18 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And
the other way is you stay in the deals and you start doing it that way. I might have said that backwards, but I think you get the point. Okay, so we're 20 minutes past the hour. Hopefully you enjoyed today's podcast. Hopefully you got a whole lot out of it. And you got a whole new perspective now on what you should be doing for virtual deals. Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you're watching or listening to us. Make sure you like us. Make sure you leave a comment. And if you have any questions, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, support ticket on the top right-hand side, or you can go to creativereiply.com and send a support ticket there. Either way, I get them. Okay? Over and out. Thanks for your support, and I hope you flourish and prosper this week.